And we're fortunate to have Sue Sojourner. Sue is someone I've really enjoyed getting to know. I sing with her in Echoes of Peace Choir, and I also have gotten a chance to sing with her in the Freedom Song Projects, where we sing civil rights songs. It helps me to apply my concern that if I can't sing well, at least I can sing loud. And the civil rights songs have taught me that if nothing else, at least sing loud, to be heard and make the message get out to the people. So Sue has written a wonderful book, powerful book from her experience of being down in Mississippi and working with folks back in the 60s, the early 60s, helping folks to register to vote. And so she's got a very powerful segment she's going to read from her book, Thunder for Freedom. So Sue, please share with us.
This is the book. It's real. Lynn Pegg was most impressed by the fact that it had an index, a real index. It has 50-something pictures in it that I took in the 60s. This is the one that just came and that's actually bound and is you know, it's still kind of sacred to me, so I'm holding it close. This one is the uncorrected pages that came a couple of months ago and that we bound weirdly, and you're welcome to look through it much more careful. You should be careful, but it is a book of pictures and a description of the movement in Holmes County, Mississippi, and how it developed. And then probably at least as much is the things that I observed about the people, and it's called Their Stories, and it's all, so an equal amount of time is spent with the local people and getting it across to you what they were like. And so I'm happy to have it here. And I did bring an excerpt that I'll be happy to try to read. I mean, I know how to read, but I brought one of the main people that I'm reading about is this man, Hartman Turnbow. And I brought a stack of postcards that I made 10 or 15 years ago, 10 years ago. And you're welcome to take them if I want you to see him, and that's why I'm doing it. This is he. Also, this is a brochure from the exhibit that was at the Tweed about 10 years ago. Hartman Turnbow. In fall 1964, when my husband Henry and I arrived in Holmes County, Mississippi, we met the leaders of a group of 14 local blacks who had defied custom and risked arrest and bodily harm by attempting in April '63 to Reddish. Reddish was the way they said register to vote. I want to read you excerpts about their action from my Thunder of Freedom book. The subtitle is Black Leadership and the Transformation of 1960s Mississippi. What I'm going to read is from Chapter 2, What We Walked Into. At that time in Holmes and in most other counties in the state, less than a handful of Negroes had been passed, as though it were a test, passed by the white voter registration clerks and listed in the county registration books. The circuit clerks held the fort against what must have felt to them like a black onslaught. Facing Holmes's 72% black population, Circuit Clerk Henry B. McClellan used an 18 or 21 question registration form that asked for an interpretation of a section of the Mississippi State Constitution. McClellan was strict with blacks, but offered help to whites. Simply asking for the right to vote was close to revolutionary. If successful, the results would ultimately, a long way down the road, bring voting power to the black majority. But the system denied blacks their voting rights, oppressing and stifling them in most every arena of their lives for hundreds of years. Approaching the courthouse marked one a troublemaker who wanted to make a change that would wreak havoc on the white system. A person could get hurt, and many in Mississippi had already been beaten and even murdered for trying to register to vote. That April morning, High Sheriff Andrew P. Smith confronted the group of mainly black, independent black farmers. Hartman Turnbow was in no more of a leadership position than any of the others. Without a prior plan, he stepped forward in response to Smith's question of what they wanted, and he said, "We's come." And he said, "We's come to Reddish." Then Smith asked who was going in first. Turnbow later explained, when the sheriff put his one hand on that blackjack and the other one on that gun and raised his voice, then that 13 wanted to run. But running wasn't for them. They managed to stay. I got them out of struggling when I stepped up there and said, "I'll be first, Hartman Turnbow." That relieved them. Turnbow was allowed to enter the circuit clerk's office, but didn't receive registration forms before the office closed at noon for dinner. The group waited under the big tree on the courthouse lawn near the Confederate monument for that afternoon and over the next 2 days, as each was let in one at a time, shown the test forms, and then berated by the clerk. Lexington's weekly Holmes County Herald covered the county's first registration attempts on its front page. This paper ran big headlines, "Quiet prevails after a tense situation." And also photos and interviews were run with most of the first 14 blacks. About half the group was pictured in 4 large photographs along the bottom of the front page. Negroes weren't usually in the Herald's pages unless they'd violated some rule, like these certainly had. Such coverage was not positive publicity. It was dangerous business for these beginners in movement action. Everyone's name was printed in the news story. Every week after that, the Herald printed a circuit clerk's list of all who tried to register, thus announcing to the local whites, neighbors, creditors, employers, suppliers, just who the new troublemakers were and who should be targeted for reprisals. Turnbow particularly was targeted because he spoke up to the sheriff. As he told it, right there, my agreeing to go first took the strain off them, but further down the deal I had to pay. That branded me. At first I didn't see the sheriff's point of asking who was first, but he was fishing for the leader. So when I stepped out and said I'd be first, then he just figured I was the leader. Then they just thought they could give me a good hot time and burn me out, but it didn't work that way. Indeed, soon after those first movement actors finished their courthouse vigil and returned to their farms, night riders drove onto Turnbow's place on the main highway. They threw firebombs and shot rifles into the house where Turnbow, his wife, and teenage daughter were sleeping. In a bold and important action, Turnbow leapt out of his bed, grabbed his rifle, and shot back. The whites scattered. Some say a few were hit, and one was killed. Despite the danger, fear, and harassment, Mileston's first movers felt victory in acting together, in planning and carrying out their taboo action. They had met in their home community of Mileston, then had driven 20 miles to the county seat of Lexington to try together to register. They knew the replication of such actions throughout the county, the state, and the South, piece by piece, would wear away the system that barred them from voting and so much more.